Welcome back to Football Daily, where today we're talking about your player of the season. Now, a few weeks ago, I did the first agree or disagree on We Need to Talk, where you guys at home send in your opinions on a certain player. I tell you if I agree or disagree with them. Today, we're doing each Premier League club's player of the season so far. You guys responded in your hundreds on Twitter. Each club, I have selected one suggestion from. I'm going to tell you whether I agree or I disagree with your take. First up then, this one was sent in by Mohammed. There was a few suggestions for Arsenal players, but quite a lot for Martin Ødegaard. Obviously is having an outrageous season. 10 goals, 7 assists. For me, the best creative midfielder in the Premier League this season. I think he has had a better year than Kevin De Bruyne. But it's a disagree. Let's be real here. It's clearly Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka, for me, has been the best right winger in world football this year. I think Arsenal are going to go on to win the title. He's unfortunate. There's another player that is both young and a forward who is better than him in Erling Haaland in the Premier League right now. But I think Bukayo Saka should be the young player of the year in the Premier League. He won't be, because I think it's going to be a double scoop for Erling Haaland, who we'll come on to later, but I think he should be. I think that would be the fair way to do it. Give Erling Haaland the player of the year, Bukayo Saka the young player of the year, of course the only player in the Premier League with double figures in goals and assists. So yeah, I'm going to disagree with Martin Ødegaard. I think he's had a fantastic season. I think he's a perfect captain and the best midfielder creatively in the league. But for me, it's clearly Bukayo Saka. Next up at Aston Villa, suggestion from an MC, Douglas Luiz. And again, I'm going to pop him straight in the disagree column. I think there's no doubt he's been one of Villa's 3 best players this season. I would have him alongside Ollie Watkins and I'd have him alongside Tyrone Mings. Look, Douglas Luiz this season, I'll rattle off some stats for you. Joint most assists, most passes into the final third, most possession won, second most interceptions. He's clearly a crucial cog. And I think next season, alongside Kamara, that partnership is only going to flourish under Unai Emery. Certainly a seriously high level deep lying playmaker. But I do believe it's Ollie Watkins. And the simple reason for that is that I think the hardest job for a mid-table striker is to consistently hit that 10 goal of the season mark. For the last 3 seasons in a row, Ollie Watkins has done that. Since Unai Emery has come to the club, he can't stop scoring goals. I think he's the first player since Sergio Aguero back in 2017 to score in 6 consecutive away games. His finishing has been sensational since the turn of the year, the highest conversion rate of any striker in the league. And I think without his goals, Villa have a little bit of a problem there in goal scoring. In fact, his goals have been so crucial, it's allowed them to move on a player like Danny Ings without even really batting an eyelid. So for me, it's Ollie Watkins, just because I think at that level, goals are so crucial from your centre forward. But no doubt Douglas Luiz alongside Tyrone Mings, who by the way is crucial now to Aston Villa. You know, when he doesn't play, they simply don't win. I'm going Ollie Watkins. Let's go to Bournemouth then. Tavernier. What a great pickup he's been, by the way. Still only 24 years old, 4 goals, 4 assists. I'm bashing him straight into the agree column. I think he's been nothing short of phenomenal. The other candidate for me was Philip Billing in there, but I think the impact Marcus Tavernier has made in such a small amount of games, 16 starts, isn't it, is remarkable. You know, the goal he scored at the weekend, it's out of this world. Technically out of this world. So yeah, I'm going to agree with Tavernier. Another easy agree, I think, was sent in by Patch of the Day. He says, Ivan Toney, it's obvious, but he's just been a cut above the rest. Not just goal scoring, but involvement in play and willingness to put himself in for the shirt. It's astonishing. Absolutely agree. I think he's the 3rd highest scorer in the Premier League right now, isn't he? 17 goals, 4 assists in 27 games. I think he can play at a higher level than Brentford. I would not be saying no to Ivan Toney at Manchester United this summer. I think he links play really well. Patch of the Day has described him perfectly. He's more than just a penalty box poacher. You know, the amount of flick-ons he wins, the ground he covers, his ability in build-up players. We saw at the start of the season with that assist against Manchester United. First time left-footed ball across. It's just astonishing. I think he's seriously talented number 9. And yeah, definitely Brentford's player of the year for me. Next up, we're going to Brighton, where JJ Heath has suggested Moises Caicedo, who is obviously having a phenomenal season and is probably going to get his big move away from the club for close to £100 million this coming summer. Such is his level. He's amazing. But personal preference, this is really a little bit unfair. I think I'm going to disagree with Moises Caicedo. Personal preference, for me, it's been Mitoma. I know it's only been 15 starts in the Premier League, and at the start of the season, he wasn't really in the side under Potter, but certainly under De Zerbi, he's gone to a totally new level. 7 goals, 4 assists in those 15 starts, and these numbers, progressive carries, touches, successful take-ons, that is a frightening number. Brighton have managed to let Leandro Trossard go, who has probably been one of the greatest January signings of all time to Arsenal, and haven't really missed his output because of the level of Kaoru Mitoma. I think he's an amazing player. Brighton are going to be able to hold on to him this summer because I don't believe they're likely to sell a player like Caicedo for a huge fee and let Kaoru Mitoma go. The sale of Caicedo will allow them to keep players like Mitoma. He's only getting better. If he was like 20 years old, I think everybody in the Premier League will want him. I think the fact he's 25 might put some of the top 6 sides off. I don't think it should. I think he's that good. So, yeah, for me, it's Kaoru Mitoma, but I understand it's more personal preference. Like, Caicedo's obviously been incredible, but I just love Mitoma too much not to include him. Next up, we're going to Chelsea and Jodor's suggestion of Kepa. He says, I'm going to say it quietly and hope nobody sees it. Well, we've seen it. It's Kepa. He's been bad and still has major flaws, just the rest of the team has been major poo-poo. No, it's not Kepa. Yeah, it's not Kepa. I've lined these up horribly, haven't I? But it's not Kepa. Let's be real. It is absolutely Thiago Silva. I know that he's 38 years old, but when he's not there, I think Chelsea look way more sus at the back. He's still their best centre-back, even though he's 38. He's an incredible leader on the pitch. Yes, Kepa, if you look at his post-shot expected goals numbers, they're pretty impressive this season. It has been something of a remontada for him. But overall, I still think there's quite a few weaknesses to his game. I think the post-shot expected goals numbers don't really tell the true story of Kepa when he's not coming out and claiming things, when he's not, putting his body in the line in 50-50s. Those sort of errors don't really show up in the stats of goalkeepers. I feel like that's a little bit of a hole. So for me, it's definitely not Kepa. For me, it's Thiago Silva. Yes, he's had a remontada, but Thiago Silva is Thiago Silva. Let's go to Crystal Palace and Joe Walker. Shout out Joe, his suggestion of Cheikh Doucouré. Absolutely. I totally agree with this one. I think he's put up 4.9 tackles and interceptions, which is a career high. So he's come out of France, 4.4, and he's improved in that facet of the game, despite the fact he's playing in a Crystal Palace team that have been struggling. I think when they get a bit more talent around him in that midfield, he's going to shine even more. I think he's been an exceptional signing. They haven't had a goal scorer who's been banging them in regularly. I haven't been as impressed by Guéhi and Anderson this season, but Cheikh Doucouré, he is sensational. Everton, this suggestion came in from Ben. He says Tarkowski, no doubt. Pickford's up there too. I actually probably agree. I think it is James Tarkowski. Easily, far and away the most blocks of any Premier League defender per 90. Constantly throwing his body in the line. The perfect Sean Dyche centre-back in many ways. An underrated passer as well. Maybe some people would consider him unlucky not to have gone with England to the World Cup. Not necessarily sure I agree with that, but he is having an astonishingly good season. An amazing, rarely amazing pickup by Everton, James Tarkowski. I also think Amadou Onana deserves a shout out in here alongside Jordan Pickford, but yeah, I'll agree. Tarkowski's been great. Let's go to Fulham, and obviously there's only one candidate here. Ollie says Palhinha. First season in the Prem, and he's in the debate for the best DM in the league, and that's not even an exaggeration if you look at the stats. I'll agree with the fact that he is definitely Fulham's Player of the Year. He's probably my bargain transfer of the year at 22 million euros. What a signing, averaging far and away the most tackles per 90 in the Premier League, which is probably what Ollie was referring to there. I think he's in amongst the most tackles of any player in Europe's top 5 leagues. Can't believe Fulham didn't face more competition for his signature out of Sporting, to be totally honest with you. I know Wolves were very interested as well. Do I think he's the best DM in the league? No. I don't think he's got the progressive passing of a player like Rodri or of a player like, Thomas Partey. He's certainly one of the best out-and-out ball winners in the league. So, yeah, I would agree with that. Mitro, many people would have as a candidate, but he's only scored 1 Premier League goal in 2023. He's now banned for another 8 games. He went off like a rocket at the start of the season. Has slowed down a little bit. For me, this is a tap-in for Palhinha. Totally agree. Next, let's go to Leeds, and this suggestion comes from Harry. He says, Adams before he got injured. Verba is in with a shout, though, completely revitalised our defence and made them look semi-competent, which is, probably part of the reason they've conceded a couple goals recently. He's obviously been out of the side, but totally agree on Tyler Adams. I love watching Tyler Adams play. Super aggressive, over 5 tackles and interceptions per 90. I think he's probably too good for Leeds, but they've got a really good midfield. Like him, Weston McKennie, Mark Rocker. It's very highly talented for a team that are battling in relegation spots, isn't it? Which they probably shouldn't be. Tyler Adams, for me, definitely one of the better DMs in the Premier League. I'm going to agree. Next up from Jay Billing, it was just a GIF, but it was of James Maddison celebrating a goal. I think this is a really comfortable agree, isn't it? Leicester have been honking this season. No real other candidates stand out to me. I suppose Harvey Barnes is in double figures for goals. I mean, the touch for his goal midweek. Oh my God, it's outrageous. So good. Surely Maddison and Barnes cannot get relegated to the Championship. He is sensational. He's absolutely sensational. 9 goals, 6 assists in 21 starts. But his creative numbers across the board at underlying level are just fabulous. Look at these expected assist numbers in the top 10 percentile of European forwards. I'm a little bit surprised about his non-penalty XG numbers being so low, but if you change that to midfielders where he can play as an 8, we start to see a picture of an absolutely elite creator. So for me, it's comfortably James Maddison, but it isn't saying a lot because Leicester have been crap. Okay, the Liverpool suggestion, obviously not too many candidates here, but Johnny Quid says, sadly, Bjetic. What? Johnny, wake up. You've got a player called Alisson that plays for you. So yeah, I'm obviously going to disagree with this one. I think Bjetic, he's burst onto the scene. He obviously looks highly talented, but let's have it absolutely right. He's made 6 Premier League starts. Alisson has been absolutely ridiculous. I mean, let's have a look at some of his post-shot expected goals numbers, because I do believe he's the best shot stopper in world football, alongside Thibaut Courtois potentially. Ter Stegen is obviously having an unbelievable season as well. But a post-shot expected goal swing of +11. He's over double the next best goalkeeper in the league per 90. 0.4 expected goals. He's saving Liverpool every single game. That is absolutely astonishing. It's not as if he's bad with his feet either. He can distribute very well. I know he's been caught, i.e. against Real Madrid, and can look a little bit sus at times. But his shot stopping, his one-on-one saving ability. I haven't seen many goalkeepers be able to save one-on-ones like Alisson ever. It's clearly Alisson. To say Bjetic is honestly a joke. Next up, we've got another joker. Eslam Elnesh says, Rodri. What's happening? Haaland exists. So yeah, obviously I'm going to disagree with Rodri. I think he probably is the best defensive midfielder in the league. I know Arsenal fans are screaming at their screens right now saying Thomas Partey. Man United fans are going nuts about Casemiro, but I think Rodri combines the best of both of them. To be honest with you, his passing ability is definitely the best of the three, and he is exceptional. But we have a player in the league who has scored 42 goals in all competitions, is going to break the goal-scoring record in the Premier League comfortably, and is 22, making his debut season. What are we talking about? There are people at home going, he's not the player of the year. Haaland. What are you talking about? A 22-year-old coming to the Premier League, smashing all records to bits that have ever been seen in the highest standard league in Europe, and we're saying, no, not player of the year. It's Martin Ødegaard. Ødegaard's been good. Saka's been better than him. And Haaland's on a different planet. Next up for Manchester United, everybody was suggesting, including Torkel, Casemiro. Now, I think he's probably been Man United's most important player. Because, 77% win rate with him, 33% without him. But has he been United's best player? Has he been the player of the season for United? I don't think he has been. I don't think you can have Casemiro as the player of the season when he's only played 3 Premier League games in 2023 because of disciplinary issues. I think you have to factor in the fact he's been sent off twice and missed games because of a number of bookings. yes, when he plays, he is immense. But he started the season a little bit slowly. He has missed consistent football across the second half of the season. In Europe, in the Cups, he's obviously a beast. He is no doubt a phenomenon as a defensive midfielder. And when he plays, he is ridiculous for Manchester United. But he just hasn't played enough for me. I think I would probably go for either Rashford, record goal scoring numbers for him yet again. Nobody else in Man United's team can score a goal. Or Lisandro Martinez, who has played more games than Casemiro and has been as vital, in my opinion, to how Manchester United have changed style. So I would go for one of those two. If Casemiro played every single game this season, he'd be a shoo-in. But he hasn't. Next up, we've got a Newcastle fan called Dan, who has written a long old tweet praising players, quite rightly so, and he goes on to finish it with, ultimately though, it has to be Bruno. He is world class. He is. The fact is that Newcastle still winds me up to this day. He's so good. He is so good. Having said that, I'm going to disagree. The only reason I'm going to disagree is because I think Sven Botman would be my Newcastle player of the year. I think you have to give it to a defender. I know that Bruno contributes to Newcastle's defensive structure, but the fact they've only conceded 19 Premier League goals this season is ridiculous. It's so far clear of any other Premier League side to be funny. The second best, I think, is Manchester City. They've conceded 26, Arsenal 27. 19 Premier League goals at this stage of the season is frightening. Sven Botman, for me, at just 23 years old, coming out of a league where traditionally defenders have struggled to immediately hit the ground running in the Premier League, has been nothing short of a joke. 24 Premier League starts. Already, in my opinion, Newcastle's most vital centre-back. I think Kieran Trippier also deserves a shout here. I also think Nick Pope deserves a shout. But for me, Sven Botman, because of the way he's just naturally integrated into that side and has become such a crucial cog in the best defence in the league, I would give it to Botman, but, I can totally understand why Bruno's going to get it. Okay, Nottingham Forest, the suggestion from Ash Young is Brennan Johnson. I think this is quite an easy one, isn't it? State of the alignment there. Totally agree with this. At 21 years old, to have 10 goal involvements at this stage of the season, it's not to be scoffed at. It's not to be scoffed at in a team that are battling relegation. Without Brennan Johnson's goals, you look at the attacking output of Forest and you think, where else are goals coming from? Morgan Gibbs-White, incredibly talented, hasn't scored enough goals this season. Taiwo Awoniyi is the second top scorer with 4. Brennan Johnson has looked electric. The future of Welsh football, even if Forest go down, he's definitely staying in the Prem. Southampton's suggestion came in from Alex, and he says, one choice is JWP. Yeah, that's not what it's about. I mean, it's stupid to give it to anyone else, isn't it? And at 7 goals this season, he's basically carrying them to any hope of survival. Another player that, if he goes down, is definitely staying in the Premier League. I could see him going to West Ham, something like that next season, maybe Newcastle. Maybe that's a step too high. But either way, just a phenomenal central midfielder. His dead balls alone are going to tempt so many sides into picking him up. His underlying numbers alone, if you look at his expected assists, top 15, 20 percentile in Europe, and that's probably because of the free kicks. Yeah, way too good to go down. Definitely Southampton's player of the season. I agree. We're getting into tap-in territory here. Tottenham fan Foggy says Harry Kane. Would have been Bentancur, but unfortunately he's injured. What a season he had. Quality, that guy. I agree Bentancur would have been a candidate, but it would definitely have been Harry Kane, even if Bentancur had been fit. Let's be absolutely truthful about this. 29 starts, 22 goals. He's running at 0.8 expected goals per 90. That's the best number of his career outside of 17-18. Finishing has gone to a new level. Didn't even think it was possible, to be honest with you. The conversion rate is just absolutely ridiculous. Gonna leave in the summer, but yeah, I just can't believe he continues to get better, Harry Kane. And as he ages, he's becoming this really nice mix of creator and insane goal-scoring threat. Really good with his head as well, but also picks up spaces between the lines. Passes into the box numbers are off the charts. He's just such a perfect footballer, isn't he, Harry Kane? West Ham, again, no candidates. This one from Tech says, Declan Rice would be bottom of the league if not for him. I think Declan Rice has had an alright season. I don't think he's been as impressive as he has been in previous campaigns, but I do feel like that's partly because he's hit his ceiling at West Ham, and I think he's ready for that next step. He's going to go to Arsenal, in my opinion, in the summer, and that's the perfect club for him. A club upwards trajectory, another leader to add to that young team, and a young one at that. I think he's ready to slightly change and evolve the way he plays, but at West Ham he has to do so many different things that he's kind of held back in that regard. Brilliant footballer, and all this nonsense I see some pundits chatting about, doesn't score enough goals. Get off his back, man. Declan Rice is not in the side to score goals, is he? It's an absolute load of waffle. So I'll agree with it, but he hasn't had his best season. Finally then, Wolves. This one was sent in by Football Appreciation. They say Neves, obviously. Panellists and Bueno deserve a bit of credit, but everybody else pretty poor. Yeah, I think Neves has been Wolves' player of the year. He's up in contract in 2024, and I think a lot of Premier League clubs will look at Ruben Neves this coming summer. Man United will probably be having a look at him. His progressive passing numbers still absolutely off the scale. His defensive numbers still very, very strong. There's going to be a lot of the teams that in and around European competition, they're going to look at another season of Wolves going backwards and think we can take Ruben Neves off their hands. No. At the end of the day, I know he's loved Wolves and played for Wolves for many years, and he's a bit of a legend there because he joined when they were in the Championship and he was a star on the rise, but he's still only 26. And I think a lot of Premier League clubs will be interested in him. So I'll agree with the Football Appreciation. Okay, so that was my agree, disagree for each Premier League club. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have I had any howlers? Probably. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, hit subscribe. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. We'll see you later. Goodbye.